are back! Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. If you're new here, please make sure you do subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And if you're listening over on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be, give us a rate and review. Really appreciate your support here on the podcast, as always. And let's get right into it. So, Victor, how's your weekend?
Good, mate. It was a pretty chill one.
Yep.
Very wet in Sydney this weekend.
Yeah.
I feel like my weekends are getting quieter as I get older. Your thoughts and same for you?
You're like, what, mid-20s? You're not even old.
Yeah, but like, I'm getting there.
You feel like you're getting old, Jesus.
At what point did you feel like you were getting old?
I don't feel old.
I don't think no, you're not old, but like.
I'm old for rugby league, but that's it.
That's true.
I'm not old in life. I've got so much life to live, I feel. But my body actually feels relatively good, to be honest.
Love it.
I played football my whole career.
That's it.
And 15 years professionally, and I actually still feel pretty good. So,
what's the first thing you're going to do next year?
I'm going.
What's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't been able to do?
I'm going to run a marathon next year, actually.
Yeah?
I'm going to run a marathon. I'm putting it out there, making myself accountable. So if you're listening, hold me to account. Ask me, when's the marathon? Because I don't know which one I'm going to do, but I'm going to do one of them.
Ultra or like a...
No, not ultra. I'm not that stupid. Far out. I'm not... I don't know. Maybe the Gold Coast, because I've heard it's flat.
Yeah?
But, yeah. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Anyway, let's move into today's show. What's trending in the NRL? There's plenty happening, as always, in the wonderful world of rugby league. We'll react to this past weekend, some big performances, some big results, big scorelines, which we'll get into. And we've got our top five, big footy guy, and some fan questions to finish off. So let's move into what's trending. Victor, where are we starting at?
This something happened a couple of days ago. This 19-year-old from the Raiders, Khan Skips, he requested a move on compassionate grounds from the Raiders to move back to the Gold Coast, where he's originally from, but rumoured to sign with Penrith. and Ricky's not very happy about it.
So has requested release for compassionate grounds to go home for family reasons or whatever, to move back to Queensland.
Move back to Queensland.
But then signing with the Panthers instead. That is wild.
What a play. What do you think about that? Do you think that should be
I don't think it's... I think it's a pretty of a bad go, to be honest. I think it's okay to... be open and honest with how you feel in your situation. And sometimes your situation is blocked or your path is blocked to NRL. So changing clubs, can be a good thing for you. However, like to use the compassionate grounds and then potentially go and sign with another team, is probably taking the mickey out of that situation, because compassionate grounds is like a real thing. Like players use that quite often with real life circumstances, you know what I mean? It might be family, it might be a sick relative or whatever it is, So they're all real reasons, but yeah, I'm not a massive fan of it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's probably just some like manager that's found a loophole, right? I wouldn't blame the kid too much.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not the first to use the compassionate grounds, and then he definitely probably won't be the last, to use that term to try and get out of a contract. But, I mean, it will be interesting to see where he ends up and if the Penrith deal does get finalised. And obviously, I feel like the Raiders would have every right to be filthy about that situation. Yeah, for sure. So let's keep an eye on it. Let's see where he falls. What do we got next?
Bailey Hayward signs a 1-year extension to the end of 2026.
Bailey Hayward, yeah. So, obviously, the Dogs making the decision to let Reid Marnie have a look elsewhere. From what I understand, it was like, Reid Marnie, we don't have anything for you. You can go and test. Reid Marnie still had a contract for next season. And then he was able to secure a longer-term deal at the Cowboys. Obviously, on the weekend, which we'll get into it a little bit later on, that decision to start Bailey Hayward and leave Reid Marnie on the bench until the 65th minute when the game was over. But that's... To me, that's the business of the game, and that's a team or a club sorting out their salary cap. So, from the outside in, to me, it feels like the Dogs have someone in Bailey Hayward who's a little bit younger than Reed Marnie, who's probably getting paid half of what Reed Marnie is getting paid, that can do the same job. That's what the Dogs feel like is happening. So Bailey Hayward, look, I think I really like what Bailey Hayward has to offer. He's a passionate player for the Dogs. You can tell he loves playing, plays multiple positions, plays 13. I'm pretty sure he's a half growing up from what I understand. Has played a little bit of hooker, but it seems to me he's going to be the hooker potentially. Like I thought the hooker was going to be his role for next year, but it seems to be like it's happened now.
Yeah.
Like Bailey Hayward seems to be, it'll be interesting to see where, if he's named at 9 tomorrow, when the team lists come out. So that's one to keep an eye on. But obviously that's the business of the game. That's the game. That's managing your salary cap. That's, the hierarchy at the Dogs making those decisions on what they feel is the best interest for the team, for the football club, for the salary cap. And, obviously Reed Marnie is sort of faces the consequences of those decisions. And that's, Reed Marnie probably has every right to kind of feel probably a bit frustrated with the situation, but hey,
look, he's got a deal with Cowboys now, and that I think he's gonna move back home, closer to home, which he's originally from Queensland.
He's from Queensland. I'm not sure whereabouts. Definitely don't think it's North Queensland, but yeah, I mean, I've openly said I think it's a great pickup for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, losing Reece Robson, and a great player that Robbo is, and to be able to sort of substitute that with someone like Reed Marnie, and a veteran player who plays big minutes, and I think he still has so much more to offer in the NRL. So, I'm all for it. I think it's a great signing. What do we got? Let's next.
Josh Kerr returns to the Dragons on a 2-year deal, and Shane Flanner re-signs with the Dragons until 2028.
So a big week for the Dragons.
Big week for
last
the Dragons.
week. Not only did they beat your Sharkies.
Oh yeah.
What's doing there?
It's not that hard.
I think the Dragons broke a 9-game losing streak against the Sharks on the weekend. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. Josh Kerr. Look, I like this signing. Josh Kerr left the Dragons for more opportunities at the Dolphins. I feel like his form and his impact has been excellent for the Dolphins. He's got X factor coming off the bench. He has offloads. He's got ability to break tackles. And just to... he was involved with the Origin team again this year. Just goes to show some of his form for someone who's getting a little bit older in the game, been around a long time. Josh Kerr still providing the goods, on the weekend and on the field. So I think it's a great signing for the Dragons. I think, he adds a little bit of experience. And it seemed, reports of the Dragons last week were that David Clemmer was not going to be offered a new deal. So to me, it's just like a like-for-like kind of replacement where Kerr comes in for David Clemmer, fills that front row position where you obviously need multiple front rowers in your squad. It's a position where, you've got obviously 2 starters, 2, sometimes 3 on the bench. There's 5 players in your 5 front rowers in your team every week, potentially. So obviously in your squad, you need that depth. And, Josh Kerr is I think he's, going to go from strength to strength for the Dragons. And obviously Shane Flanagan re-signs with the Dragons until season 2028. And, a big deal for the Dragons, I feel, and their club, to have your coach locked up long term. It then allows your recruitment and the club to kind of plan for the future. And with the Dragons, I think they're actually on the up. I think with some of the youngsters they've put into first grade this year, and obviously they debuted 2 more this week with Buchanan and Jacob. I can't remember his last name. If you get it for me, Victor. I don't want to say it incorrect, but had a lot of big raps on him. These kids, and obviously there's multiple other guys. The Couchman boys. Hamish Stewart. There's multiple guys who have come in. Made their debuts this year, and done a tremendous job. So look, I do think they've had the chance to sort of get these youngsters in and exposed to the NRL, and I think they're going to go up and up. They've got a lot of young. I'm pretty sure they won the SG Ball competition maybe a couple of years ago. So did you get the last name? Do you want to say it?
Yeah, Jacob Halangahu.
Halangahu.
That's my attempt at it.
Halangahu. Yeah, that sounds. Yep.
Pretty
sure he's a New South Wales under 19s representative. So has come from big raps and got a big future in front of him.
What do you think the Dragons are still missing? How do they push that top 8 next season?
Yeah, well, obviously they're bringing in Atkinson next year.
Yep. Now Josh Kerr.
Josh Kerr looked. I think. I mean, it remains to be seen whether Atkinson they put him at 6 or at 7, and then what they do with, Kyle Flanagan, King Tongia, who partners him in the halves.
They still have Lockie Ilias.
They've got is Lockie there next year, or is he?
I'm
pretty sure the club has an option on him, and I just can't see the way that's panned out them taking that option up. Unfortunately for Lockie, who I think has so much more to offer, Lockie Ilias in the NRL. Yeah. So I mean, where he ends up, it will be interesting. Look, I think the Dragons, like consistency, they need a bit more consistency, and I think this year, they've blooded a lot of youngsters, so they're going to get the rewards from that in the future. So it's kind of been it has kind of been a rebuild year. They've recruited some veterans. They've got a bit of a mix there. And I think next year, they need to be a top 8 team next year. I think the top 8 is a must for them. Obviously, Val Holmes had a strong season. Unfortunately, it was cut short with injury. Obviously, Gutho has been really strong for them. I feel like Cookie has been, really strong for them as well. So the guys they've brought in have done a really good job.
Sully's gotten better this year. I think
Sully had a slow start, to be honest with you. I feel like he's got a lot more to offer.
Way more to offer.
He
could be a top 5, top 10 center in the club.
He could be, and they're probably... I remember a couple of weeks ago watching a game, it was like someone's definitely had a word to this guy this week because he's going searching for the ball. He's carrying the ball in yardage a lot more, and it was unfortunate he went off with a knee injury on the weekend, but he needs to be more involved most of the time. He's so hard to tackle. One of his carries on the weekend, he split straight through them, got through, down, up, play the ball, and that just got the Dragons off and running. So, look, Sully is someone who needs to play better, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a potential for it, for sure.
I mean, and then you've got Jacob Little as well, who's done a job when he's come on. He's kind of split time with Cookie there at 9. He might even start next year. Well,
he's signed till 2028, so he's long-term.
He's long-term. So, look, I think if you're a Dragons fan, be optimistic about the future for the next year or the next. It might not be next year or the year after, but they've got plenty of good youngsters who are making their mark on the NRL, and obviously to have Shane Flanagan locked in for long term is also going to add that stability to the club. So, well done to them. What's the next?
Dewey signs with the Tigers
until
the end of 2027. It was rumoured to go to the Dragons, actually.
Yeah, so I did see this. Well done to Adam Dewey. I mean, we gave him his flowers last week on the podcast, and we spoke about him being off contract and his options for the next season and getting offered a contract with the Dragons and obviously an offer from the Tigers. Now, it was kind of where does he go? Does he stay with the Tigers, who have shown loyalty to him? Obviously, he stayed for one more season this year to sort of back himself on the open market, and then he's done that. He's come out and he's performed really well. And from what I understand, I mean, you see in the media, it was revised offers that the Tigers made. So potentially they've come to the party and paid him what he wanted to be paid, and he's got what he's wanted. And obviously on the back of, some good performances, that's what happens. So well done to him. And, I heard him speak about his relationship with Benji Marshall, and when he hurt his knee last year, it was the first person to come in and check on him and, constantly check in with him was Benji Marshall. So, I mean, it just goes to show the relationship Benji's forming with some of the players, and they want to be there, and he's, building this team into his team, and to keep someone at the club who is wanted elsewhere is a good coup for the Tigers.
Especially someone who's bleeds Tigers, when you think Adam Dewey, you think Tigers.
Yeah.
It's it's good to have that kind of leadership and culture around your club.
Yep. I think he's doing a great job, Adam Dewey, so well done.
Tino to test the open market for the Titans. Titans need to keep Jaden Campbell.
Titans need to keep Jaden Campbell. I would not be letting Jaden Campbell go, but also, obviously, I would not be letting Tino go either. I mean, reports come out this week, Tino's set to test the open market, and it sounds like, I mean, it feels like Tino just re-signed for 10 years, you know, but obviously the amount of options and stuff that are getting put in the contract these days, it's like you're legit off contract every couple of years if you want. So, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of Tino's deal that he's currently on and when those options are, but this is a guy who potentially could be just frustrated with the results or direction of the team or, you know, obviously there's talk about moving on with the coach as well. So that obviously can irritate, you know, your star players. And, you know, do you blame him for having a look around? Probably not. I mean, it's probably fair play and fair business to you because Tino, yeah, I'm not sure how old Tino is. You check for me, Victor. How old is he? Because, you know, you get a bit older in the game and like you're
25.
He's, oh my God.
Fuck.
He's 25 years old, man.
That's crazy.
I'm thinking like he's nudging 30.
No, he's 25 and he's got
He's
3 player options from 2027. So he's on contract this year.
Yeah.
2026 season, he's on contract and he's got player options up until 2029, I think.
Gee, so it's option central with
Option central
with Tino. But I mean, back what I was saying, like as you get older, like your window to win becomes smaller and smaller. So, you know, no, it probably doesn't really suit Tino because he's still 25. He's got so long to go. But yeah, what I guess the main thing coming out of this is like for him to sort of be out there and wanting to test the open market, there seems to be a sense of either frustration with the club, direction, team, coach, whatever it is, or he's not feel like he's not getting paid enough, which I don't think that's the issue because, I mean, it sounds like he's on a pretty good wicket.
He's rumoured 1.2.
Yeah, he's rumoured to be on 7 figures. So that you'd probably go with the first option for Tino. So, and back on Jaden Campbell, obviously they've got AJ Brimson and Keanu Kinney there as well. So, you know, that 3 kind of fullbacks in the spine, they haven't really played at all together so far this season, I'm pretty sure, since the very start. So, Keanu Kinney did make his return on the weekend, I'm pretty sure, in the Queensland Cup. So I don't know how he kind of got through that game or out of it, but it will be interesting to see if he comes back into the team this weekend.
Yeah, because Jaden Campbell's off contract next season as well. So, yeah, we'll see about that. Have you seen the Michael Shamus news article? He poured out a proposition for a 20-team NRL competition.
Shamus, no, I have not seen this, but let's have a look at it.
Let's have a look. So the conferences are going to be split up into 4 different conferences: Eastern, North, Western, Southern.
Very, very NFL-like.
Very
which
NFL-like.
I'm an NFL guy, so
You are. And he wants to split the competition down to 23 rounds.
Yep.
4 conferences made of 5 teams.
Yep.
Every team plays each other once. Conference rivals play twice, so home and away. The origin window is condensed from 53 days to 29 days.
Yep.
An 18-day footy festival between May and June with midweek games. Conference winners get the top 4 seeds and top 10 final series. And then the next 6 best ranked teams make up the rest of the 10. And then there's a 5-week final series. And then an end of season 5-nation competition between Australia, New Zealand, England, Thomas. Thoughts?
I actually like it. I actually really like it. I mean, I think every team to play each other once and then the rivals, home and away, I love that. I think that's a great idea. I like the origin window condensed and the footy festival in May, June. Sounds awesome. I mean, there'd be midweek games. There'd be, you know, football all the time.
Love it.
Which I think this is kind of a thinking of the future, in my opinion. But it's very different to the history and what we've had in the NRL. But I'm a fan of like coming up with different or new and ideas about how it could potentially work with obviously 20 teams. You know, more teams involved. Yeah, I'm a fan. I like it. I like the chat.
He put a schedule comparison there, which I'll show you now as well. It would mean that regular season games go up though.
Nah. Regular season games need to come down.
What is the process for that, do you reckon? What do you see the timeline of that happening? Because obviously as a business, as the NRL, right, you want you're making a certain amount of money playing this many games, but the CBA, whatever,
collective bargaining agreement has like the amount of games scheduled for TV in that agreement. So the content would change.
Would that result in less money for the NRL, right?
Potentially, yeah.
What's the bargaining there? Like, how do you balance that out for the NRL?
It's a good question. I mean, because, with more teams, you know what I mean? You obviously get more games. So, obviously, the game grows year on year with regards to revenue. So, it would take a little bit of a hit. And from what I understand, it's around $1 million loss per round that's not played. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think there's too many games in the competition. Yeah. Too many games.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah. And I just think the next CBA will be interesting to see how they go about it and how many games, rounds they do and whatever. But, yeah, I think it's too long.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go through the round.
All right. Let's go. Let's review round 23. Round 23. Sheesh, this season is just going absolutely crazy. It started off Thursday night. Melbourne Storm 22-2 over the Brisbane Broncos, and it was just hamstring city. Hamstring city in this game. Adam Reynolds, Ezra Mann, both doing hamstrings on the same play. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in my life. Both halves go down. I mean, it's hard enough to lose one half in a game, let alone two. And they would later lose Selwyn Cobbo in this game as well. That chase down on Xavier Coates was an unbelievable play from Selwyn Cobbo. Wow, what a play. It kind of reminded me of when Tommy Dearden chased down Cobbo last year, which was absolutely crazy. Yeah, how long they out for? You know what I mean? These guys. Do we have an update there?
Yeah, Mam and Cobbo out for 6 weeks and Reynolds out for 4.
Yeah, right.
He's reporting.
Yeah. Mam and Cobbo out for 6, so that's probably likely season done unless they go deep into the finals. Reynolds, potentially back for week 1 of finals, depending on how the Broncos go over the next month. But in this game, it was just a pretty dominant performance from Manly after that kind of moment. I think Brisbane did well to sort of hang in there, and they did really try, and I thought they played quite well considering obviously lost their halves, and obviously to have someone like Ben Hunt move from hooker to go straight into halfback obviously made that sort of transition a little bit smoother for them. But, I mean, this Storm juggernaut, I said it last week on the show, they're just consistently in the top 4 year in, year out. It is ultra impressive. Their coach is one of the best coaches of all time. You blink and the Storm finish in the top 4 again. Like, it's just a given. Like, some teams haven't played finals for 10 years. Craig Bellamy gets this Storm team in the finals in the top 4. Like,
almost every year.
Year on year. So, it is just ultra impressive. I spoke about Ben Hunt before. Well, his next month of footy is going to be vital for this Brisbane Broncos team as he steps into the halfback role. Now, I think, look, what a handy replacement for the Broncos to have to just bring in Ben Hunt, someone with his experience, the caliber of player he is. Last season, I'm pretty sure he led the league in try assists, so he's very creative with the ball, got an excellent kicking game. He backs himself. He gets the job done defensively. But the biggest question, I think, is going to be who's going to partner Ben Hunt in the halves, wear that number 6 jersey. Now, the options I thought the Broncos have on their roster at the moment, obviously they've got Josh Rogers, who's played a couple of games for them. They've got Jock Madden on the roster as well. Then, obviously, you've got Billy Walters as well. Look, I think Billy Walters goes into that hooker role in place of Ben Hunt from moving in the halves. And I think I'm not sure the injury situation of Jock Madden and Josh Rogers, but to me, it's probably one of them that'll play, and I'm sure that Broncos, in-house will have an idea of who they think is next man up for the Broncos. The game finished 45% possession to the Storm. Storm 13 errors and Broncos 16 errors. So, look, a win for the Storm, who again just get the job done. Broncos obviously suffering huge consequences in this game with those hamstrings, those injuries, and remains to be seen. Who the Broncos play next week? Because, they play the Dolphins next week at Suncorp.
Yes.
So that's a
Right.
massive game for the
Huge
Dolphins
game.
as well, to be fair. So,
Storm have only finished outside the top 4 once since 2015.
oh my goodness. And they were in the 8, but just outside the 4.
They were 5th in 2022.
Man, that's crazy.
Oh, it's
That's
stupid.
just crazy, man. All right, let's move on to the next game. Well done to the Storm, man. It's
they're too
crazy. Next game, Newcastle Knights, Penrith Panthers. Panthers absolutely dominate this game in terrible, terrible conditions. 48-12 over the Knights. Absolutely clinical, the Panthers were in their execution. Spoke about the conditions. Dreadful conditions. Pouring torrential rain. Puddles all over the field. And just, what does this mean for the Panthers? I mean, with that win on the weekend, the consecutive wins now, they've moved from the bottom of the ladder, like literally last place, to the top 4. They've jumped the Warriors now with their loss to the Bulldogs. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that run before, to come from literally last place to then into the top 4. I mean, it's got teams looking over their heads saying, are we in trouble now? Like, the Panthers are building. The Panthers are back. The Panthers have been back for a while, to be honest. And you and I, we didn't write them off when they were coming last. We weren't those guys that said they couldn't win.
We were skeptical, but
we had question marks, but we were like, they can do it still. They can do it still.
And they have.
And they were just so impressive. Like, to score 48 points in Newcastle is, in those conditions, extremely difficult, but
with an 88% completion rate as well.
88% completion in those conditions extremely, extremely impressive for the Panthers. And for the Knights, well, their season, has been done for a while now. They're probably looking to try and build some players and blood some players, get ready for next season and build some momentum. They had another change to the spine on the weekend. They brought in young Arthur, the son of Brad Arthur, to come in, made his club debut after just moving mid-season from Manly. I thought he tried really hard. I thought he had a good go out there. But I just feel the Knights are looking for some stability in that half position. They've changed. They've a lot of changes this year. Obviously, guys haven't been playing that great. Obviously, they've got Hastings and Gamble on the roster as well, which won't be there next year, I'm pretty sure. I just think they're screaming out for some stability, which obviously they've signed Dylan Brown for next year. So, look, I think Dylan Brown can't wait to get up there, and I think the Knights can't wait for him to get there as well, obviously, with what's happening with Dylan Brown at Parramatta. The Knights currently sit 15th on the ladder, 18 points with 6 wins and 12 losses. So, obviously there has been chat about their coach. At the moment, he's still there. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who and which coach is kind of to go next. Because there are a few that are under the Cherry Mesher at the moment. Do you know who Cherry Mesher is?
It's just pressure. That's what I...
Yeah. It actually is. Yeah. But Cherry Mesher's a guy.
He is?
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Obviously, they're missing their best player as well, Callum Ponga.
What do you think of their half pairing next year? Because, who's going to pair Dill?
It'll be, to me, it's Fletcher Sharp at 6.
Yep.
Dylan Brown 7. Callum Ponga fullback.
Until they lose one, and then they'll change it.
I think they give them much more time. I mean, Fletcher Sharp wasn't really a part of the rotation. No. It was like Fletcher Sharp was always there in 6. It was just that 7 jersey, between Cogger, Gamble and Hastings that they just kept rotating.
Surely that could not have helped.
It doesn't help combinations and clarity, but also it's like if you keep losing and the coach wants to see something else or they don't do their job or whatever it may be, they kind of got merit to make the changes. We're in the business of winning games. If you don't win, it's like, if you keep doing the same thing but expect a different result, it's insanity. That's literally what it is. So, we'll see what happens. But the Panthers are building. The Panthers are right where they need to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
We'll keep an eye on them over the next 4 weeks. Let's move to the next game. Canberra Raiders 28, Manly 12. Raiders delivered an emphatic statement on the weekend. Obviously, still leading the comp at the moment. Ethan Strange. Have a day, Ethan Strange. 3 tries, 113 metres, 3 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks, and just a pure runner of the ball, Ethan Strange. His running game is one of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
His footwork, his ability to break tackles. 7 tackle breaks on the weekend. That's by far and away the best attribute of his game. He's a ball runner, and I just think he suits the style of footy that the Raiders play. The Raiders are very unstructured. They come at you, they change angles, they run. They're all just ball runners, and I feel like Ethan Strange has just sat into that system so smoothly and comfortable. And you got to give it to the Raiders recruitment over the past couple of years. Have a go at this for next year. Obviously, they made a tough decision at the start of the year with, Jamal Fogarty, and, I'm not sure if they actually offered him a deal, but they obviously, Fogarty moves to Manly, you know what I mean? Obviously, they've got Ethan Sanders. The club's recruited Ethan Sanders to play halfback for next year. He's moved across from Parramatta. And next year, Ethan Sanders, he'll come into the halfback role. He's 21. Ethan Strange is 20, and Owen Paddy is 21.
I can't believe Ethan Strange is 20 years old. I just found that out.
Ethan Strange is 20
years old.
He's 20 years old.
That's wild.
Owen Paddy, 21. Ethan Strange, 20. Ethan Sanders, 21. That's potential. They've obviously got Starling, and they'll have Brayley there next year to cover that hooker position. But there's 3 guys who are 21 years old who you can just build and build and build your spine around for the next however many years. And if these guys have they keep having this success, they're going to be freaking hard to beat. The more they grow, the more they get their combinations together, the youth that they have. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, I spoke about Jamal Fogarty on the weekend. I thought his game was outstanding on the weekend. His kicking game, which has been a real feature for him and the Raiders so far this season. I thought he probably managed the game a bit better than DCE did on the weekend. Obviously, another takeaway from this game, Jake Trbojevic, unfortunately was ruled out with his concussion. He's 3rd since April. And obviously, then there's questions come about, his health and his availability. But it wasn't pretty. And that's the thing with Jake. It's he just made a decision that he was just going to put his body on the line. Yeah. No actual, no remorse for his own safety. Just goes down there, tries to make a play, put a shot on, and just on Papa, who's just so freaking solid, and unfortunately comes off second best. So, obviously that was disappointing to see. You don't want to see anyone come off like that, but for Jake, we hope he's all right. Obviously, he'll be Cat 1, 11-day stand down, so he won't be available for this weekend. But obviously that was disappointing. Obviously, Cherry Evans as well, probably didn't have his best game on the weekend. He's still yet to announce what's going on with his future for next year. Obviously only 4 weeks left in the regular season. So interesting to see,
what's going to go on there,
what actually happens there, and how and when that comes out, and potentially why the delay.
Well, obviously it was rumoured that he was signing with the Roosters early on this season. But I think with Savala and Walker can't play in the footy that they're playing right now,
they're playing great.
Got to put a question mark over that.
But it's there's got to be a reason as to why his decision's been delayed, I feel. But, much respect for DCE, always, but we'll see where that ends up.
That leaves Manly at 10th.
Manly at 10th, and their season's hanging on by a thread at the moment.
2 points away. Yeah, a win outside the 8, sorry.
Yeah. But they basically got to win every game.
Yeah. So.
And have results go their way, which when you need to rely on results, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, especially when they're on a 3-loss win streak at the moment.
Yeah.
3-game loss streak.
Duh, nice.
3-loss win streak. That's what I just said.
All right,
man,
next game,
moving on.
Dragons 22, the local derby over the Sharks 14. Your Sharkies, no good. Dragons snap. Was it a 10-match, 9-match losing streak against the Sharks?
Yeah.
The Sharks have had a significant psychological boost over the Cronulla Sharks over the past couple of years, but an opportunity for the Dragons, who debuted two NRL debutants on the weekend, Hayden Buchanan and Jacob Halangahu. Massive win for the Dragons. Massive.
Yeah.
To debut two youngsters in a local derby in a packed crowd at Cogra. They completed at 88% completion, which was ultra impressive. But for me, it was their improved discipline, their execution, as well as their goal line defense.
Yeah.
That really, really impressed me. And their desperation, their ability to stop tries, to be in the picture. They were a bit more aggressive on the edges on the weekend, I thought. And it was just great to see for them.
Yeah, it came down to, for me, it was definitely the intensity and aggression in attack. I think Sharks made way too many errors, which they do.
Sharks made a lot of errors, and
63% completion.
Yeah, you're not going to win with 63% possession. No. You don't respect the ball. They did struggle to find their way in attack. They had some unforced errors, passes over the sidelines. You know, and obviously, as close as this game was, they still kind of had chances to win it at the death. You know what I mean? Blake Brayley made a huge 57 tackles on the weekend, which is ultra impressive, but that's not sustainable over the long term. Like, if you don't hold the ball and you complete 63% of your sets and you make your hooker make 57 tackles, like if your hooker makes 57 tackles week on week on week, like that's going to be, Blake Brayley's going to have some sore shoulders.
Yeah.
And over the course of year on year, like that's not.
I mean, he's durable.
He's very durable, and he's shown that. But that takes its toll over years. That's not fun.
Yeah. And then
where if they completed high 80s, he might be in the 30s. He might make 20 less tackles because they actually control the ball.
It comes down to completion. It feels like with Sharks every week.
Yeah.
How do you improve that in training? Like, what goes through?
It's a good question. I mean, it's definitely concentration. Everyone's got a role to play in a yardage completion set, whether it's support play, whether it's play the ball, whether it's ball control. There are a lot of things that happen, you know, with regards to the ball. The ball is life. You need to control the ball.
The ball is life.
It is. True. If you don't respect the ball, if you don't concentrate on the little things like playing the ball, forward passes, the basics, if you don't get the basics right, then you suffer the consequences. And suffering the consequences just means more tackling. In our game, you want to make less tackles. Usually the team who makes less tackles, controls the ball, wins. So it is something that most teams talk about. They do work on it at training, usually in like kind of live scenarios against like two teams at training. You know, you get put in a scenario, you play against each other.
Do you see it more as like a personnel issue or a coaching issue?
That is a good question. Look, I think it's probably more. I mean, because it's hard to sort of pin it to one person on the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Half the team, like almost the whole team, made an error.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's more like, as a team, like what are our actual focuses? You know, are we focused enough on doing our jobs collectively as a team? You know what I mean? If we speak about doing X, then we all need to be in on doing X. But if we don't and then we do Y, like what are the consequences of that? So I think it's, I mean, this Sharks team's quality. You know what I mean? I've said it before. I like the Sharks. They tend to beat themselves when they lose. They're a good team, and I haven't seen them play well and, you know, lose. They usually play bad and lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they play bad, they tend to lose.
Still a lot of question marks around this side this season, I think.
Yeah. So, obviously for the Dragons, I mean, they lost Moses Sully with a knee injury at halftime. We spoke about his ball carrying ability at the start of the podcast, but to me, that's a big loss for him. Obviously, they've lost Valentine Holmes for the rest of the season as well. You know, so potentially lose Sully for a couple of weeks. But you know, we spoke about the Dragons at the start with the amount of youngsters they've had to, you know, they've brought in, and they're probably going to see some more time over this next month, I'd say.
Yeah.
The Dragons.
11th now.
11th.
4 points behind the 8.
4 points out of the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many points are they on?
22. Dolphins and Roosters are on 26.
Yeah, they're no chance of making the 8, but, obviously every win counts, builds momentum into next season, into the preseason, and obviously gives guys an opportunity to play and sort of earn spots, for next season as well. So let's move on to the next game. Sheesh, this was an absolute shellacking. Sydney Roosters 64, Dolphins 12. Wow, I don't know if anyone saw 60 points in this game. The boys produced a massive blowout. I mean, it really just asserting themselves, ready to sort of fight for a finals position. Obviously now tied on 26 points each with the Dolphins. Obviously this was a massive game with regards to, ramifications for the top 8. Some huge performances by the boys as well. Sammy Walker kicked 10 of 11. Unfortunately, that one, the only goal he's missed all season, hits the post on the weekend. He's on an absolute heater. I think it was 27 or 28 goals in a row. His stats were super impressive on the weekend. 3 try assists, 2 line break assists. Teddy's also stats were out of this world. Nafahu White's stats were out of this world. Teddy had 3 try assists, 4 line break assists, 158 metres. 2 tries. Teddy's form this year's been insane. He's just like, whenever there's half break or there's a break, it's like Teddy's there. Yep. He's one of the best support players in the game that I've ever seen. Hugo Savala had one of his best games. His kicking was on point. Set up 2 tries with some pinpoint kicks. Daniel Tupou, Mark Nawanga-Nitawase. Geez, wasn't he impressive in the air? Like, just looked like so elegant, just like an AFL player just taking a specky.
Yeah.
That's
had
just
his knee out and
had the knee up.
Yeah.
You could put him in the full forward line for the Swans, and he could just come up and go and take a specky. Like he knows how to be aerial.
Yeah.
And I've seen Mark. I know Mark up and close, and I see him lift in the gym. Like he's very, very dynamic, very explosive. His calves are probably the size of my quads. Obviously, the big talking point out of this game was the sin bin melee, the controversy. 4 players, 2 per side, sent to the sin bin after a little bit of a brawl. No actual punches thrown, but a few guys running in and a few guys shaping up. It's been a minute since I've seen someone shape up on the footy field. I mean, when I was watching, I was actually laughing. I was like shaping up, ready to go. What do I think of this? Because I've seen some takes over the course of the weekend, and some guys having a go at Spencer and telling him to focus on footy, and I think it's absolute garbage. Like Spencer plays with intimidation. He plays fired up football. Like he's gonna be there to protect his teammate, to stand up for his teammate, and if he feels he can get intimidation over the other team by, being that bully, then if I'm playing with a guy like that, like I love that. This guy I know, and like for the Dolphins, I mean, they probably lost the melee, and they got like beaten physically as well. And that's probably what was really disappointing for the Dolphins coming out of the game, was the fact that they did lose, the physical battle. They did concede a lot of points. But yeah, back on the kind of the Spencer, thing. You want to play with forwards who are intimidating, who are aggressive, who play on that line. I know if I've got a pack of dogs in that forward pack who are just hungry to eat and they don't really give an F about what anyone else says, like that is awesome.
That's what you want.
So obviously it's a physical, violent game that we play.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. So that's kind of my take on it. I know I'll stand up for Spencer. I think he's had a great season, and I like what I see. You're going to go in there and stand up for someone, like, not take any BS and whatever it is, and assert some dominance over your opposition. You're a forward. You go ahead. Maybe us halves, we don't really do that stuff. We just sort of,
I don't think people understand as well the mental state you have to be in to force yourself to run full pelt
could not imagine doing that. You know what I mean?
So you got to be at some point.
Yeah, you got you tapped.
You got to be on it.
Man, I'm telling you, the forwards in NRL forward, they're tapped.
Yeah.
They're tapped differently. It's like
Yeah.
they've got no remorse, like no their bodies, like they just don't care. It's like they just do anything. You know?
If we didn't have that, it wouldn't be rugby league, would it? So
it's a physical, violent game. It's not for everyone. So, but yeah, a great result for the Roosters. And obviously now, as you said before, 26 points each now, the Dolphins and the Roosters with 4 games to go. It kind of feels like these two teams will be fighting it out for 8th place. Now the Dolphins play the Broncos next week. Roosters play the Bulldogs next week. So two
tough games. 2
cracker games. 2 big games, which will definitely have ramifications for the back end of the season. Let's move on to the next game. Bulldogs 32, Warriors 14. A big win for the Dogs. Obviously, this game was played in more torrential, rain conditions. Bulldogs bounced back with a solid win. They played the conditions to perfection. I thought on the weekend they kicked early and they kicked often. Really just isolating the Warriors fullback and. They would get to like third tackle and just like kick and then just get on the kick chase. The biggest takeaway out of this game, I touched on it briefly at the start, was Reid Marnie to the bench and Bailey Hayward starting at hooker. Now, Marnie didn't see the field until the 65th minute, and obviously what they call in NBA terms is garbage minutes. That's what they call it in NBA terms once the game was over. But, yeah, like I said, it will be interesting to see whether Marnie... or wear Marnie's name for this week coming up. Does Bailey Hayward wear the 9? Because Bailey Hayward, can probably play 80 minutes as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So does Marnie, is he even in the team? Obviously he's moving on next season, so the thought process around Reid Marnie tends to change once a club knows that they're not going to be with him anymore. So,
what do you think, at least for this season, what do you think Serrato sees in Hayward that Marnie doesn't have?
Well, he can do the same job for half the price.
Fair enough.
That's literally simple as it is.
But for this season, right? Like, they're both going to be here.
Well, for this season,
so it's like,
I mean,
they both want to win a Prem this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably more. Reid Marnie's probably a bit more. He plays for himself a bit more, and by that I mean he kicks the ball. He kicks a bit more from dummy half. He probably wants to play leads a little bit more. Bailey Hayward's has a bit more service to like their halves, to Galvin, to Burton. Yeah. He provides a bit more service to others. Where Marnie, he likes to be creative for himself a little bit more. I mean, naturally, as you get older, you know what I mean? You want to be able to show that you can showcase your skills, where probably Bailey Hayward's a bit more younger and a bit more of a yes man, probably. Yeah. That's just I'm from the outside. I don't actually know, to be honest. So, yeah, I might be completely wrong, but we'll see what happens. The Warriors, well, they struggled on the weekend. They had a couple of chances, but ultimately they were outclassed by the Dogs. They had a huge missed tackle count, missed 44 tackles on the weekend compared to the Dogs' 14. The Dogs usually have a lot of missed tackles, but the Warriors considerably higher on the weekend. Only 8 errors each in this game, which just goes to show, both of these teams are usually traditionally pretty good with the ball and their completion rate. 8 errors each in those conditions was extremely impressive. And for the Warriors, I mean, they just fall out of the top 4 now, move back to 5th. Obviously, have had their sort of slip-ups with injury over the past 2 months. And the Bulldogs probably now finish probably 2nd or 3rd, I'd say the Bulldogs. The Warriors are kind of fighting their way for that top 4 position, obviously sitting in 5th now. They really need to fix a little bit of the defense, the Warriors, I feel. I don't think their defense has been where it needs to be over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, their right edge has leaked a lot of tries. I think so. For the Warriors, to me, it's all about defense. And for the Bulldogs, I mean, they're still without like Connor Tracy still to come back as well. Do you know when he's scheduled to return? I know Crichton, I thought he was outstanding on the weekend. Scored a great try. His goal kicking, he hasn't really kicked the ball great so far this year, I felt, but on the weekend I thought he was pretty solid with his goal kicking. Update on Connor Tracy there.
Yeah, 4 weeks from last week when that happened.
So should be back for the last round.
Yes.
Okay.
If all goes
All right,
well.
let's keep an eye on that for Connor Tracy. What was it? Lacerated kidney?
Yeah, an abdominal hematoma.
Abdominal hematoma.
Hematoma.
Abdominal bruise.
Yes.
Hematoma is a bruise.
Bruise.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
Thanks,
yeah,
mate.
there you go. All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. Gold Coast 18, South Sydney 20. Rabbitohs break a 9-game losing streak. Much needed win for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who welcome back Latrell Mitchell on the weekend, and Jeezy made his presence felt in this game.
This was the Spoon Cup.
The Spoon Bowl.
The Spoon Bowl, that's
with
it.
a standout defensive effort, the strip on Jaden Campbell. Jaden Campbell, just get down and score the try. What's actually doing? You do all the hard work. Boys, right foot. Boys, get through again. He's over the try line and goes to run around under the sticks. Like, man, my man. What a huge effort by Latrell. And that's not the first time I've seen Latrell get in and bump the ball out of someone's arms. A huge effort for Latrell, who made his return after what was a quadricep injury for a couple of weeks. Obviously, that controversial non-call late in the game, Jaden Campbell's high tackle near the line went unpenalised.
That's a high tackle.
That's a high tackle
Every day
of the week. And we've seen that a couple of times this season. That's probably what's been the most frustrating thing for fans and players is some of the consistency on the decisions is...
It's tough because fans complain about milking, right?
Yeah.
And then, but that's what happens
when it actually happens.
That's what happens when we don't milk. We don't get the calls.
Yeah.
Which should be a
call. So it's just stay down and get the call. You don't really want to tell someone to stay down, but it's when it's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah.
Far out, man.
Tough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We just want consistency with the calls. What is referee for some should be referee for all. We don't want the differences there. But obviously, when the game's on the line, the referees tend to, they don't necessarily want to make the decisions with the whistle. They want to, let the game flow. The Titans, they're locked in at the bottom of the ladder. The narrow loss leaves them in a really tough position at the moment. And obviously with the news that Tino's set to test the open market, do we actually see Tino, I know we spoke about it before, but do we actually see him going?
Perth Bears, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
if they throw
the thing is
more money at him.
It's the money. It's not the money to me.
It shouldn't be if you're on 1.2.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I don't know what team can afford him.
Yeah.
What top?
Perth can afford him.
Perth can afford him, but they're not going to be title contenders just yet.
Nah, and he wants to win probably, you know what I mean? I'm thinking he's probably at a point where he's I'm sick of losing, I want to go and win.
Yeah, so I can't see any club in the top 4 that can afford him.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
yeah, so... Yeah.
Interesting to see.
We'll see how that falls. But let's move on to the last game. Parramatta Eels 19, Cowboys 18. Eels win this one in regulation in a nail-biting game that came down to the last couple of minutes. And a huge win for the Eels, who have really been building a little bit of momentum over the last couple of weeks, ever since Mitch Moses returned. And you can see this team, obviously they're in a bit of a rebuild phase with a new coach and some new recruits. And, it just feels like they are slowly building. These young guys are getting a little bit more experience. For the Cows, they had a number of key ins on the weekend and returns from injury. Obviously, Jason Tamalalo, his first game back for a long time. In 40 minutes, he ran for 147 metres, so I thought he was great in his return. Jake Clifford returning from injury as well. He had 2 try assists. Has just extended his stay for a further 12 months at the Cowboys. So I thought those two made a real difference to the Cows on the weekend. Look, I thought the Cows they played well on the weekend, and they completed at 95% in this game. They only made 5 errors, Cohen Hess was on an absolute heater in this game. I think he was at 100 metres at halftime and ended up finishing the game with 194 metres. Obviously, the big downfall in that was that he got done for the cannonball tackle and is now suspended for the rest of the season.
Damn. So,
unfortunate for Hesse. His season is all but done. For the Eels, they had 81% completion. Joash Papali'i ran for 190 metres. Some interesting takeaways out of this game. I mean, Fox was good. He gave that Cowboys right edge, who have not been great. I'm pretty sure they've conceded over 50 tries this year. Gave them a couple of moments.
Been loving Hopgood in the forward pack as well. Starting 8 the last month.
Yep.
He's been really good there.
Yep. I like Hopgood. He's got some skills. I like Jack Williams as well. I think he's been a great addition for Parramatta. A real sign of consistency for them. Played in multiple positions, lock, back row, front row as well. A great leader, someone who can set the standard and set the example. I think he's been good. Zach Lomax was good on the weekend. Obviously, Dylan Brown made his return to the side on the weekend after being out. He's back in the team.
Back at centre.
In the centres. He's probably just out there just enjoying himself, to be honest. But, I mean, did you see the baking Mitch Moses gave Talon De Silva at the end of the game?
I saw that video.
Absolutely sprayed him at the end of the game.
Did we try to find it?
And it was on the back of just some poor passes. Like, just the service at that time of the game, when the game's on the line and you're attacking the try line, the conditions are wet, like, you need to make sure that your service is on point. And we've got it up here. The service just wasn't there. I mean, runs last play. There's the bake there from Moses. Obviously wanted the ball on last play, and yeah, look at that. There it is.
Any lip readers?
That's got the F word and the C word in it. If you can read the lips, F word and C word, and then because it happens again. Like, look,
you just threw some
another ball on the deck, and then takes his
straight at him.
Takes his mouth guard out and just get it into him. Oh man. Oh no. He's not running back to the thing I like is he actually takes the mouth guard out and just like to spray him, like, and puts it back in. Yeah, I mean, you can understand, like, it's 1918. They're looking to ice the game, in the championship rounds. Like, you want your service, you want everything down in, on point in that moment. So, yeah.
So, not De Silva's best. But
yeah, but you know what? The thing is, like, they talk about it after the game. No doubt that they hash it out, and it's whatever's happened there, it's like, that's fine. Yeah, that's a part of the game. And De Silva would be like, yeah, I got to be better there. Like, I deserve that spray. So
De Silva's lucky they won.
He's lucky they won, but I feel like, yeah, I wouldn't read into it as to, like, that's a shit go from Moses, because it's definitely not. All right, let's move into our top 5 Indigenous jerseys from the weekend. Now, some awesome jerseys, some great designs, and what a great round, which is over 2 rounds this year. And I thought I'd have a look and just sort of pick out my top 5. So, number 5, I've got the Storm jersey. I thought it was outstanding. I really like the little bits of yellow on the Storm one. Number 4, I had Parramatta in at number 4. I thought they were number 4 as well. I thought they had a really good jersey. I had the Raiders at number 3. I had the Dogs at number 2. And the best jersey I had, I'm not being biased, but I thought the Roosters had the best jersey.
I have to agree.
Yeah, like, I'm not actually being biased. I'll try to be, like, non-biased. I just thought the Roosters,
those light blues
with
were
the boomerang and the colours on the front, I just thought were absolutely awesome. Yeah, like, there it is, the boomerang. 2 boomerangs, Kevin Stevens on the front, past Indigenous player for the Roosters. Just the colours. Yeah, the colours look great. Yeah. So that's what I had for the top 5 this week. Let's move on to Big Footy Guy of the Week. Our nominations this week: Ethan Strange, 3 tries, 7 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, 113 metres. Hayden Buchanan on debut for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. 1 try assist, 1 offload, 2 tackle breaks, 110 metres and 18 tackles for the debutant. And our last one, James Tedesco, on fire. 2 tries, 3 try assists, 3 offloads, 7 tackle breaks, 1 line break and 4 line break assists. Teddy having an absolutely amazing season so far. Let's move into our fan questions before we wrap it up, Victor.
All right. Did you ever have to do a nudie run at the end of the season for not scoring a try, or does it still exist?
I've never done a nudie run. And it doesn't really exist anymore, to be honest. You don't really...
It doesn't exist?
Nah.
Yeah, right.
Don't really see it anymore. I mean, honestly can't tell you the last nudie run I've seen. I don't know. Just like... probably mobile phones have probably,
yeah, true.
put an end to that, where guys probably don't really want to get in trouble for doing something silly like that anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
So no, I haven't seen one for a long time, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Next question. How long does training go on during the day?
So training, I mean, depends on the time of the year. Preseason is long, like 4 sessions a day. So I'd be up at 5, and I'd be home at 6 p.m.
Oof.
4 sessions a day with lunch, with meetings, with recovery. So there's like field session, 2.5 hours, weight session, 1.5 hours, wrestle, 1 hour, conditioning, 30 minutes, plus like recovery, 30 minutes, lunch, 1 hour. Yeah, so it's like a proper full day. In season is a little bit different. So it might be like, a 6-hour day from like 8 a.m. We'll arrive 7:30, between 7:30 and 8, and finish at like 2. And that'll consist of meetings, weights, wrestle, and then field as well. So usually the same kind of similar amount of training, just a little bit less, a little bit more condensed, and not as hard, because we're obviously preparing or recovering from games.
Do you get days off during the week?
Yeah, so we get our days off during the week, obviously, because play games on the weekend. Usually, if you play on a Sunday, you do your captain's run on Saturday. So there's like, you've got 2 days there. So usually you might get it earlier in the week, either the day after the previous game, and then 1 day off closer to the game. So it's usually, our days off are usually, midweek.
What happens on a bye round?
Bye rounds have changed a lot recently. Nowadays it's more like, it's pretty normal for teams to have full 7 days off, just full time off. Sometimes, depending on when you play the following week, if you're at one of the early games like a Thursday, then you won't have as much time off. But it's quite common for guys to just have 7 days off, and then in that 7 days, usually you do your own training. So you might be assigned like a 1 or 2 weight sessions or a running session or whatever, just so you keep your body moving, so that by the time when you get back into training, you've moved. You haven't, because the worst thing you can do is just sit down and not do anything.
Yep.
If you completely do nothing, it's like you got to keep moving. Swimming, walking, running, go to the gym.
Do you go on holidays or anything?
Oh, you can go. Some guys go to Bali. Swear to God, some guys go overseas. Yeah, for sure. Some guys go everywhere. Like, I know guys that have been overseas this year. They just don't post stuff on social media, so people don't know. Literally, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's common. It's very common.
Good. Have you got any words of advice for an up-and-coming junior in the world of sports?
Yeah, for sure. Sacrifice, give absolutely everything you have to achieving your goals of playing professional sport, because you have one shot. You literally have one life. You have one opportunity, and if
Slim Shady,
literally, like you literally do. But if you half-ass your effort and you don't dedicate yourself, and then you're like 25 or 26, and then you've got regret, like that's hard to live with. But if you get to like that 26-year-old position where like you in your heart you've actually given it everything you have, and you don't make it, like you can live with that. That's okay. There might be something else out there for you that you can be successful for. But if you have regret, And then you've got to live with that. It's like, you don't want to be late 20s and going, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Oh, I could have done this. I could have done that. But like, if you get to that position and you're like, man, I gave it everything I had. I just wasn't good enough, or, you know what I mean? I got injured and whatever. Like, that to me is like what it's all about. So it takes a lot of sacrifice, dedication. You can't live the same life as your friends who don't play sports. They live a different life. You have to have a different mentality. Like you can't be out drinking and partying and doing all this stuff when you've got games or whatever it is. The other guys who don't have the same vision and same goals as you. You've got to think different. You've got to be different.
What's it like getting a tattoo while playing, or does it have to be in the off season?
I don't actually know. I'm one of the very rare clean skins in the NRL at the moment. Actually, I don't have a tattoo. But I think it is something that happens after the season, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Can you talk us through the coaching staff? Like, what does a team's coaching staff consist of?
So coaching staff usually like head coach, then usually like 2 assistant coaches. So assistant coach who runs the attack, assistant coach who runs the defense, and then you might have a wrestling coach or tackle coach. Then you might have a junior development coach, so a coach who kind of helps the younger guys in the squad who are either on development contracts or rookies, and they kind of manage those guys and their reviews, obviously because the head coach is worried about, the 17 NRL players each week. Then obviously you've got, most teams have 2 to 3 full-time physios. Obviously, you've got your club doctor. You've got your head of performance, who basically runs the whole program of like what training you actually do. Then you've got like your head of your strength and conditioning coach. Usually have multiple strength and conditioning coaches who run your gym programs and also can run some of your conditioning and speed on the field. We've got psychologists, a nutritionist, masseuse. Who else is there? Then there's like sports science. Usually has like 2 to 3. What else is there? Then there's like well-being, education. There's a lot. Then you've got like your New South Wales Cup head coach, New South Wales Cup assistant coach, who usually are in and around the full-time, arena. A lot of staff.
Good stuff.
A lot of staff to run a footy program. It's good to be a part of, to be honest. So, yeah.
Love it. Oh, what's the worst pre-game meal you've seen someone have?
I think it's probably, I've only seen it online, but it's probably Brian Toto's chips and cans of Coke. He has hot chips and a can of and 6 cans of Coke or whatever it is. It's insane.
Surely he was taking the piss there.
Nah, he actually does it. He actually does it. He did it before Origin, I'm pretty sure.
No way.
Yeah, I swear to God. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
Sweet.
I've always someone's wondered what players talk about post game.
So this kind of pisses me off a little bit because like after you play, you go and see someone who you might have played with for a long time, you haven't seen for a long time, and like regardless if you win or lose, like the game's done. It's like you see someone, you're happy to see them, and it's like if you lose and you go and see a mate who you haven't seen for a long time, you're smiling and laughing and talking about times where you actually played together or whatever. And then like there's been times in the past where you've seen articles where like someone's lost by 30 and like they're smiling because they've caught up with a mate. It's like, come on, man. Like seriously, like the moment you walk into the sheds and you have your debrief, like you can be disappointed there. But when you're seeing a friend, usually you're just talking about like experiences you've had or how's your family or, you know what I mean? Like how's training been? What have you been? How's your body? Like, you guys are playing really well at the moment. You're doing this really well or, let's catch up. Let's do this and that. So yeah, that kind of ticks me off a little bit when I see that stuff. But it's just general chat. Like it's usually great to see guys because you build so many relationships with guys, and then obviously guys come and go and change teams and whatnot. So yeah, it's general chat. It's good chat though. But on the field in the game, it's like there's no friends in the game. It's like don't matter how close you are, it's like we're scrapping.
Yep.
So
last question. I'm trying to go pro in the halfback position. Do you recommend any current players for me to look up to or study gameplay of?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the normal ones. Obviously, I mean, depends kind of what type of player you actually are, because I feel like there's a couple of different styles of halfbacks. But obviously, to me, it's like the top three. I'd go Nathan Cleary, I'd go Tom Dearden, and I would watch Jerome Hughes. I watch those three guys. Watch their kicking. Watch how they run the ball. Watch how they dummy the ball. Watch how they hold the ball, and watch their demeanor around their teammates. And I feel like if you can just copy those guys, it's literally like you just try and evolve and play to your strengths, but also try and copy some of the things that you can, put into your game from theirs. I feel like is a good recipe for it.
Love it.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Victor. And thank you guys for tuning in today on the show. We really appreciate your time. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.